and I can almost guarantee that it won't change your situation in a couple of months as much as it would as if you did make that purchase. That would completely change the dynamic of your buying power, of the houses that you may get approved for, of a lot of things. Welcome back, lovies. If it's your first time here, I am Kayla and this is my channel. This week, I'm going to be covering part 2 of our Buying a Home series. And this video will be about buying a home and the things that you should do, or that I recommend that you do. So if you didn't catch last week's video on buying a home, things you need to know, you can watch that here. And yeah, I'm just gonna jump right into it with number 1. So the first thing that you should do is start right now. If you're thinking of buying a house, you should also start looking at areas, thinking about what your budget will be, and thinking about the lifestyle that you want to live. So one of the big things for me when I first started thinking of being a homeowner was I had the ideals of making my space centered around a homestead type of living, because this channel is slowly gonna migrate over to a this channel is slowly going to migrate over to like a lifestyle type channel. So you'll see more videos like this. I'll have some videos of my garden. I'll have some videos of the soap making that I do and all of the natural products, the vegan lifestyle that I live. And the house that I purchased needed to be able to encompass and reflect all of those things. So that's number 1. Number 2 in this bullet point is that people will try to tell you what your budget should be, or if it's possible for you to get a place in that budget. When I told people what I wanted, I got so much discouragement. It was crazy. Like, and from people that aren't realtors, and even if they were a realtor and they began with discouragement, I didn't go with them. My realtor was amazing from the jump. I told her what I wanted and she got it done. Like, I was able to get every single thing that mattered to me, and be within my budget. So definitely think about budget, think about area, and think about the lifestyle that you want to live. Shit. So the second thing that you should do is think of your must-haves and your deal breakers. So for me, like I just mentioned, my house needed to be able to fit a lifestyle that was homesteading. So I needed at least a 1/4 acre, and I also wanted to have 2 bedrooms, because no, 2 bathrooms, because just in case we had guests over, I didn't want them to have to use our bathroom. So definitely 2 bathrooms. And this was before I was pregnant, before I was even thinking about being pregnant. I mean, I definitely knew that I wanted to be able to grow with my home. I just didn't expect it to happen literally coinciding, or what's the word? Concurrently. So yeah, that ended up working out, that I do have enough space for our child. And but yeah, think of your must-haves. And so for my deal breakers, my deal breaker was no HOA, or if the place had a HOA. So I did not want an HOA, and if we were too far away from our family. So I definitely wasn't comfortable being that far out, even though the prices may have been cheaper being outside of the city. I definitely still wanted to be within the city, but I also wanted to feel like we had our own little nest, and we definitely have that. So yeah, think of your must-haves, your deal breakers. If you're a parent, I would definitely think about school zones. Now that I am a parent, I'm like, crap, I gotta figure out, you know, what we're gonna do because I don't necessarily want to send my kid to the school in this area. But even if you are in an area that isn't ideal for the school zone, there's ways around that. So if you find your dream home and it's not in the area that you want, definitely do your research on the transfer systems or grant systems or charter schools or whatever it is that you have to do, transportation, to where you can make sure that you're still getting the most bang for your buck and that your work-life balance is sufficient. So the third thing that I recommend that you do, or that I feel that you absolutely should do, is get a realtor. If you're not a realtor, get a realtor. My fiance is actually a realtor, so that was awesome. But even with him and his knowledge, we still decided to get a realtor because pertaining to the area that we live in, he wasn't as experienced, or just as experienced and knowledgeable as our realtor that we went with. So the realtor that we went with is Sonia Jackson at Shakespeare Realty Co. I'm gonna tag her Instagram below so that you guys can follow her. So thorough. If you're in the Florida or Georgia area, I highly recommend her. It was amazing. She's a broker as well, so the process was very smooth, and she has many connections and so much knowledge on just gray areas and loopholes and people that you can go with to get things done right away for the best price. She was very genuine throughout the entire process, very educational and transparent, and just made us feel like family throughout the entire experience. So I definitely would recommend Sonia Jackson if you're in the Florida or Georgia area. If you aren't in the Florida or Georgia area, the things that you should look for when it pertains to your realtor is the amount of years that they've been doing it, their energy, their personality for sure, because if they don't have a good personality, that will make the process even more difficult for you and whoever the seller is, if they're a broker or if they have their own connections, because we ended up in a crazy situation with the first home that we got that fell through. And being that our realtor is a broker, she was able to talk to the broker of the seller that we were dealing with, or the realtor, because the realtor just so happened to be the seller, or the owner just so happened to be the seller, which was horrible. But either way, she was able to talk to her boss when things went south and get us direct answers on the process and of what was going on. So either way, just having your realtor be a broker or having them have a strong network of connections, a team that they utilize often, is so helpful throughout the process, because usually those people are only working with that person or not as many people. So you don't just go into it with being a number, you have someone to contact if you don't feel like the process is moving in the way that you thought it would. So definitely recommend getting a realtor and getting someone who has a network, who is very connected. And so the fourth thing that I recommend that you do, or that you should do to buy a home, is do not acquire any more debts. No new cars, no new businesses, no new ventures. If you're going to purchase something, you need to be purchasing it outright. If you're looking now to invest in a 401k or life insurance or buy your child this new car, wait until after you get the house. The process does not take that long, and I can almost guarantee that it won't change your situation in a couple of months as much as it would as if you did make that purchase. That would completely change the dynamic of your buying power, of the houses that you may get approved for, of a lot of things that long term it would affect you more long term than not purchasing something or acquiring a debt currently would if you just waited. So don't acquire any more debts. If you do something, do it with cash that you already have taken out that won't go on your credit card or any type of credit statement. But even with cash purchases, just know when it comes to buying a house, they're going to ask for all of your statements. So if you're making big purchases and there's more money going out than there's coming in, that will also be a problem. So that brings me to the fifth point of buying a house. What you should do: save your money. Save your money. I would recommend having at least 10 to 20K in the bank going into your home buying dynamic or setting, because even if you get the house for a certain price, let's just say that at the time of your approval, the down payment is $6,000. By the time you get to the closing date, that could easily be $18,000. And I'm saying this because it happened to me. So make sure that even if they tell you that you're only paying a certain amount at the down payment, that you don't just only have that. Because if you don't have that money, you will have to find that money, or you will not be getting that home. And they don't give you a forewarning. Like literally the price that we had to pay on closing date was not finalized until the day of, like an hour before. So just know that it is not one of those things that you could go into penny pinching. You need to absolutely be comfortable, or you're gonna feel very overwhelmed by the end of the process. The sixth point that I will go into that you need to do, or should not do, I should say, for this point, is do not get attached to any property that you see. I made this mistake very badly, like very badly. I was already changing once they accepted our offer, and we were like a week or two into the process, if that. First of all, when they accepted our offer, me and my fiance just started driving past the house, just going to see the house, because we were so pressed. And which is cool, because I do recommend that during the inspection period that you go and look at the house at every day, different times a day, so that you see the climate of the area that you're moving to. It might look a certain way on Monday, and Friday night it look a totally different way. So make sure that you are actually, during the inspection period, inspecting what is going on around you, because at that point you can reject or back out and there's no penalty against you. So definitely do that. But what you shouldn't do is start buying furniture, telling everyone, and just becoming emotionally invested in this property, which I did all three. So definitely don't get attached, because like I said earlier, that property that I actually became very attached to, the seller backed out 9 days before closing, which is totally illegal. But it did happen, and if you don't decide to pursue it in court, then you're just pretty much butt out in the process. And yeah, we had to start all over. We found a wonderful place, and I'm even more happy with this place than I was with the first place. And it didn't require me purchasing a bunch of things and making plans on what was going to be what, just wait until you actually sign the paper. Like, it's not your house until you close, like signature on the sheet. So just keep that in mind. The seventh thing that I recommend that you do when purchasing a home is file your taxes. I definitely, like I said earlier, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, then you need to start the process. And by starting the process, that's getting your budget, looking for areas, thinking about lifestyle, writing your do's and don'ts, or your haves and must-haves, and finding a realtor. Once you do all of those things, definitely talk to your realtor about how you should file. I'm personally a business owner, so for me, it was integral or imperative that I had my realtor in on the process to make sure that I'm putting all of the things that I need to look the best in the government's eyes or the bank's eyes to receive this loan. Because once again, if you're not buying cash, you're getting a loan, and you don't want to go into it looking like a liability. So I went with the person who was recommended by my realtor to file my taxes, because they knew exactly what the bank would be looking for. So yeah, definitely make sure that you file your taxes so that when it does come to the process, you don't have to wait for all of these things like I did, which made the closing process, not even the closing process, made just for me to be able to start looking take way longer. It was worth it because once again, I got what I wanted, but these are just tips that I'm giving you so that you can have a much easier experience than just going into it blindly. The 8th thing that you should do is be flexible and make sure that you are willing to listen, to learn, to adapt. Like I said, be flexible. If you have an area in your mind and that is the only area that you'll be in, you're gonna have to sacrifice something else. Just basically be ready to sacrifice something. And by sacrifice, you shouldn't be too attached in the first place to any ideal that you have, unless it is on your must-haves and your deal breakers. If it's not on that list, do not fret, don't make it a huge deal, because really those are the only things that matter at the end of the day. Everything else is able to be adapted, is able to be changed, is able to be compensated. But when it comes to your must-haves, those are things that would break your spirit, if you don't have them or if they're there. So that's why they're your must-haves. These are needs, not wants. So if it's not a need, it's a want, be able to let it go, because God does not give us what we want. He gives us what we need. So keep that in mind throughout the process. It will make you a lot more attractive to your realtor and pleasant, and it will make the whole situation a lot more gracious for you and everybody if you're able to be flexible. If you just got money and you just ready to spend it, like if you buying a house for $500,000, by all means, do whatever you want to do, because your realtor is going to get a good commission check off of you. So do whatever. But if you are humble and you're buying your first house and your budget is not grand, even if it is, I don't really ever think it's a place to not be humble and to be gracious, and to be willing to adapt. But either way, that's point number 8. Point number 9, which should have been point number 1, is do not give up. Keep your head in the game. It is going to get very tough at some points. I cried a couple of times, more times than I like to admit, but it was so worth it. If it starts getting tough, go get a drink, go read a book, do something to take your mind off of the process, because God already has everything worked out for you. Once you put your intentions into the atmosphere or into the universe, the cosmos, make everything work out exactly how it's supposed to work out. So even if it doesn't look like what you thought it would, later on you'll understand exactly why everything happened the way that it happened. So do not give up, keep focused, and make sure that you have some type of support system, some type of outlet, some type of faith in the process, because once again, you will need all 3. So this video is a lot shorter than last week's video, because purchasing a home really does not require too much footwork. If you have a realtor, I was able to definitely let go and let her handle everything pretty much. And that's exactly how I wanted my process to be. I also wanted to be very involved as in regard to the knowledge of what was going on, and I was granted that as well. So definitely make sure that you do the things that I said, or have something in place as a backup so that you are not in the situation overwhelmed, stressed out, because that will happen if you do not follow those steps that I just listed. So thank you guys for watching this week. As always, don't forget to like this video, comment below if you feel like there's anything that I left out, and subscribe to my channel to support me and my beautiful family. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys next week. Don't forget, if you haven't watched last week's video on things to know, click that here, or wait for the card at the end of this video and check that out. This turban was also purchased from Lulu's African Prints, which I will have that link listed below. And I also have an Amazon store now, so if you guys are interested in how I keep my skin so clear, my hair so healthy, the books that I read, anything like that, the lifestyle things that I use, you can now shop that store using the Linktree link below. So thank you all, love you so much, and I can't wait to see you guys again.